Okay, let's see how the internet treats me tonight. We are live by all accounts. Tuesday nights went really well, though no interruption to the internet on my end anyway. But tonight I got some of my offspring probably playing online games, and that might interfere with the live feed. Who can tell? Yes, if you're watching this back, I hope you enjoy what happens. Just got people joining live now. Hi, Safa, how's it going? People starting to roll into the live stream when, well, who knows what we'll talk about. Normally cover quite a lot of topics, and there's so much in this big wide world of ours to talk about. Good evening, Lathu. Yes, no shortage of things to talk about. Just not sure. I'm not trying to get my beard to be straight. Why is my beard never straight? I'm no good at like maintaining or styling a beard. I can't get it to be straight. It's always, I don't know, it's got a curl. I think that's basically the problem. My hair goes curly. Safa, Senator Nash could be a Scot. What party is Senator Nash? No, this is in Australia, the continuing shit show of how many members of parliament are dual citizens and therefore under the Australian Constitution ineligible. Oh, he's a national. Okay. I mean, hey there, Greg. Oh, no, that's another thing worth talking about, how Pauline Hanson is utter filth. Pauline Hanson is so bad. She managed to make George Brandis look good, and that is quite the accomplishment. Okay, that guy's deputy leader of the Nats. So the leader of the Nats is definitely a dual citizen, and the deputy leader might be too. Holy crap. Ugh, it's such a shit show. And of course, the best part about... Holy fucking shit, sorry. For those watching back later, you won't know why I just freaked out. But Celtic Kings popped in and told me that VD, the famous video dude who wrote the deranged letters, has got 1.5 years in jail for drug possession and punching cops. Holy shit! This is like a little soap opera. That this online stream has shared in. I read the letters that contained the deranged ramblings of an obviously unbalanced young man, and now he's gone to jail. I'm not saying that everyone who sends me hate mail will end up in jail, but you know, the evidence is there. So, wow, what a turn up for the books. That is it. Now, I'll tell you, talking about letters, I'm still sad, in shock, pissed off that this letter that I read in the last thing from a lad called Liam Curry, and with a little note from his mum saying it's from his 23-year-old disabled autistic son, and he wanted a letter back, and I didn't know that, and I threw out the envelope before I read the letter, and a long time before, and I really looked for the envelope. I thought maybe I just dropped it somewhere, but I can't find it, and I can't write back to Liam, and I'm so fucking hacked off about that. God, maybe I should put something on Twitter or Facebook or something, and I might be able to track him down. But wow, okay, so you know, VD going to jail, I don't really care about that. I'm not going to celebrate the fact that he's in jail. I mean, but he's clearly a fuck up, that guy. I don't actually care. No, like I said, I'm not going to celebrate that he's gone to jail. Jail is really shitty. And, but I don't really care. I am more upset about not writing a letter back to Liam. I feel bad about that. I don't feel anything about VD. It's just like, well, dude, spend your life being a fuckwit. And okay, yeah, I think you're right, Greg. If VD does some Mormoning in jail, I think that will go perfectly fine for him. I don't think there'll be any negative repercussions. I think the average person in prison really likes the old Bible bashing. I'm being sarcastic. I worry that the Bible bashing will be literal, and it will be VD who receives a bashing with a Bible, which would be unpleasant. But man, I hope he can pull his head in jail, because if you act as big a fuckwit in jail as he acted in the letters he wrote to me, that shit is going to go very badly. Oh, you got a Book of Mormon, Lethu. Well, I don't know that it's worth reading. I mean, the really obviously deranged rantings of an obvious con man, I'm not at all sure what value there is there. Nicholas, VD's a bludger. He's living off the government dollar now, isn't he? It's not like he's working for a living. Oh, that's not... Guys, is this not his first time in prison, Celtic King? Saying he's bashed in prison. Everyone gets bashed in prison. It's very hard to not get bashed in prison. But if you act like an asshole, you will most definitely get bashed in prison. And I do fear that lad does not know how to not behave like an asshole. I think that's just his default modus operandi, and he's incapable of not being a fucking dickhead. Yes, sadly, I think the experience will go badly for him. See, people who think I'm mean, I'm Magnus. Very few people would judge me for laughing at VD after... Jesus Christ, 7th time in 12 years. Okay, that boy's institutionalized. Okay, and I've seen this before. So 7 short stints, a year or so each in 12 years, the boy's institutionalized. He can't function in society, and that's really sad. And I have seen that before from people I didn't dislike, but they were so clearly institutionalized, they can't function outside of the institutions. The guy I was talking about in the last video, who I met when I was at college, because he was in jail in the town where I was at college, and I visited him. He was institutionalized. When I saw him, he was still on his first stretch. It was a long stretch for being a violent armed robber. But he did get out, and I did see him when he got out. He's on parole, and he was doing stupid shit like getting drunk and going and abusing coppers. And then again, because it's, quite hard to be accepted back into society and like get a job and stuff and even function, he was not doing that well, and he started stealing again, and he got caught. He's like robbing a bottle shop. Like, he was telling me he was basically stealing a bottle of scotch or something every day, drinking the whole bottle every day. And he eventually got caught, went to court, and he was out on bail. Like, they didn't even put him straight back inside. He was out on bail. While he was out on bail, he did the same stupid shit. He said he was in a bottle shop, and the guy had the cash register open, and he just lunged across and grabbed a handful of notes and tried to run away, and got caught. And this time he didn't get bail, and he's back in prison. It's just like, it's really sad, because on the scale of how fucked up someone is in jail, he's not actually that bad. He got better when he was in jail. By his own admission, he was a better person towards the end of this first stretch in prison than he was at the start. And this is despite all the bad shit that happened to him in prison. He was basically a better person towards the end, but he was completely institutionalized. He had no idea how to function out in society. He had no support network. He had no family to go to. And he basically couldn't function outside the institution, and he just ended up back there. It's like, system's really fucked. So, yes. And there's a comment there about, well, that shows there's no real rehabilitation in prison. Not any, but in, well, certainly from what I see in the media, countries like Australia and England and the US, attempts at rehabilitation are viewed as being soft, and you're spoiling the criminals. What people don't seem to understand, these criminals are going to get out of jail. If you are at all sensible, you would work on a plan for how to make them a useful member of society when they get out. But everyone's all just the punishment. Don't be soft on them. And like you said, Celtic, no life skills, no support network on the outside. The average halfway house is terrible because everyone in it is a criminal. And I've been in those environments, and all they talk about is what crime they're going to do next. Like when I had a housemate who was on methadone because she got addicted to smack. Obviously, that's why you end up on methadone. And so she's on the methadone program, and you have to, go to this dispensary was in an outpatients at a hospital, and it was at a set time each day. And she'd go in there, and she just said, you go in there and you're just surrounded by junkies, and all they're ever talking about is wanting to make their next score. And this is the box that people get pushed into. Okay, Celtic King, I somehow believe you. You just say VD did have a support network, did have family. He's just a dumb cunt. Yeah, honestly, that's plausible. Really is. That's an interesting idea, Nicholas, saying the prisoners should make their own food. I mean, okay, depending on circumstances and environment, but I can see that as being a significant positive. But yeah, and someone said it was cruel and unusual punishment. It's like, it seems very hard to get that right. I think of Western countries, the US is basically the worst. There is this weird thing in the US that people talk about, they think like people should only get what they deserve. And I think this crosses over political spectrum, left, right. It sometimes manifests differently, but you often get this thing of people making these big judgment of what various people deserve, and someone always sees someone else as more deserving, and that might go different ways. I read a really interesting story once. There's a writer called Malcolm Gladwell. He had a column, I think, in the New Yorker, and he's written a few books. He has an interesting way of looking at things, situations. He does get criticised by some people. Oh, I know, my eyes are itchy, sorry. It's probably really unattractive, me just rubbing my eyes, but my eyes are itchy, a bit dry. Malcolm Gladwell's written some interesting books. He gets criticised by a lot of people. They say that he just takes certain instances and draws too big a conclusion from them. Some people say the plural of anecdote is not data. But he has an interesting analytical way of looking at things. And I think even if you don't agree with him, if you do a methodical picking apart of his argument, at least he's got you thinking. And he had this story about this guy. He's showing how systems fail because everyone has this idea of who's deserving. And he talked about this guy. It was a homeless guy in an American city. A big guy, but if he was sober or not too drunk, he's a wonderful, charming sort of guy, made people like him, but he was a hopeless alcoholic and he would always end up on the street and he'd end up in the emergency ward because he would damage his health so badly with the alcoholism. And then he'd be put into detox, and detox would seem to work. And again, he'd be all charming and everyone loved him and they thought he was personable, and he'd be released and he'd start drinking again. And he was in this endless cycle until it killed him. The alcoholism killed him. And Gladwell points out that this guy was capable of looking after himself if he had a space to do it in. Like, he basically said, if you gave this guy an apartment to live in, he would have been fine. And it would have cost less. Actually, giving him an apartment would have cost less than the medical expenses that were incurred, like, because he's winding up in emergency all the time and in rehab. So if he was given an apartment, he A, would have been better, and B, people would talk about what a wonderful person he was, and so he would have been this wonderful person. But he said it was never going to happen because who's going to give an apartment to an alcoholic homeless person? Because people on the right say he's undeserving, he's a filthy alcoholic, you can't just give him a handout. He has to earn it. He has to work. He has to do this. And so people on the conservative side wouldn't give it to him. But people on the left, the progressive side, they don't want to give an apartment to him because they'll go, oh, here are all these other people who are more deserving, like, you know, a single mother, you know, a whole family over here. And it's not that those people aren't deserving. But it was interesting. He actually laid it out. Like, this guy was not a bad person. He didn't hurt anyone, even in the depths of his alcoholism. Didn't hurt anyone but himself. And his life could have been saved, and it would have saved money because the expenses he ran up in emergency and rehab were much higher than the cost of an apartment. So it was a really simple solution, but no one would take it because everyone has this idea of who deserves things. And if you fall outside this boundary of being deserving, well, you're just screwed, basically. And yes, I suppose, you know, as much as we look for them, it does feel like there basically are no simple answers in the world. I worry about the people who think they've found simple answers, and it's not. I mean, that's why people like Donald Trump get elected. They tell people they've got a simple answer. They tell people there is a simple solution, and I can give it to you. I honestly think the majority of people who voted for Trump, if pressed, would admit they knew all along Trump was talking shit. Like, these ridiculous glib comments he was making just weren't related to reality. Trump wasn't going to solve things. Trump's not going to make America great again. Trump's not bringing jobs back. He can't. Hi, Gamer Freak. But people, as much as they knew it was a lie, it was a comforting lie, and they just went for it. I'm doing well, thanks, Gamer Freak. And Safa, ooh, what shall we call this drink? Blue Ruin, I think. It's actually an old nickname for gin, and that isn't gin. That's an ice cream, but it's actually just a blue absinthe and lemonade and fresh lemon juice. And it's a really tasty drink. It's, where is it? This is my bottle. Look how nice that colour is. And that is 80% alcohol. So a single of this is like a double scotch or a double tequila. Greg Wilson, who's more dangerous, Trump or Kim Jong-un? Trump. Kim Jong-un, for all his talk, wants to stay within his borders. He quite reasonably says all his expenditure on military and threatening people with missiles keeps him in power. If he uses them, he's not going to be in power anymore because people will retaliate. But the threat of using them keeps him in power. Trump is just an incompetent idiot. Like Kim Jong-un, if he doesn't want to die, basically doesn't have any alternative but to behave the way he's behaving. That doesn't excuse him. And, you know, he's an asshole. And particularly when you look at the poverty and suffering of the North Korean people, it's inexcusable. Kim Jong-un is just fucking awful. But in terms of to the wider world, who's more dangerous? Trump, hands down. Because for all the ridiculous rhetoric that happens within the North Korean borders, Kim Jong-un was not threatening to attack other countries only in as much as other countries were threatening to attack him. And out of the blue, Trump does this ridiculous shit of fire and fury because he's a fucking 2-year-old, and as like just like that, Trump has put millions of lives at risk. How's Aussie doing? Good, I hope. I haven't talked to him, well, not since Tuesday when I had the last live stream. But you know, he has challenges, he faces them, and he soldiers on, and hopefully we'll see him again. And I did mention on Tuesday, I have a video to edit. I'll try and do it this weekend. He made a video and it's designed for me to shoot some stuff and intercut and mix up, that we have some interplay even though we're not in the same place. So I will try and do that this weekend. Sit down and work on an Aussie video so you all get to see him again, because it's always nice to see Aussie. Everyone loves Aussie except the people who don't, but they're jerks. We don't care about them. It's like, you don't like Aussie, guess what, the jerk store called, they're out of you. So hopefully we will see Aussie on the YouTubes again soon. I still hope that you'll sort of get sorted a bit and feel better and actually be able to come over in person and we could do a live stream. Like, it would be super cool if he was able to, like, you know, come over on the weekend and we could do a live stream, because that would be lots of fun. You know, so hopefully he'll be feeling better and we'll do that. But, you know, he's got a lot going on and he's balancing all that. And so looking after himself is a bit more important than coercing him into coming over here. What are some cool factors of the world? Angry. Would Aussie have called VD if VD wasn't arrested? Yes, Celtic King, he really would have. He really, really would have. Oh, Nicholas, Aussie should be everyone's spirit animal. Aussie will be sad he missed the opportunity to call VD, because VD's gone and got his stupid ass locked up in jail. God almighty. It's like, you know, be an angry Aussie hater, you end up in jail. That's just how it works. As much as he's a dickhead, I think there's a lot more of my haters who deserve jail more than VD. You're right, Greg. Actually getting Aussie and VD in a video conference, that would have been good. Hi, Biori, how are you going? Geez, I tell you what, just by the by, this weekend, it's going to be tequila weekend up there. I've got two different sorts of chili tequila, and one's cinnamon chili tequila, and the other one's the menthol and chili, the fire and ice chili. One's a sort of burgundy, reddish purple, and the other one's a lighter purple. And I've also done some lemon tequila, just some lemon rind from some really nice looking lemons. I got them soaking in tequila, and it's bringing out a little bit of yellow color in the silver tequila, and hopefully got a bit of lemon flavor. But because that's a much more subtle thing, I'm leaving the lemon in it. Like I put it in on Monday. I'll leave it till at least tomorrow, maybe the weekend. Whereas like the rock candy, when I melt it, that only takes like 24 hours. But if I'm doing fruit based one, I like to leave the rind in for about 5 days or more to try and get both the color and the flavor out of the rind. Hey there, Caleb, all capitals. How you doing, buddy? So, yeah, tequila weekend for me. Look up. Thank you, Caleb. I'm glad you think my work is awesome, and I shall attempt to keep it up. I think people like, I did the weekend TFU drink in hand last weekend, and so I was, a little inebriated while I did it. I think people kind of enjoyed that. How am I handling the new layout? Which layout are we talking about, Biori? That could mean a couple of different things. So before answering, I require more information with the goal of giving a more informative answer. Because I'm a professional like that. YouTube layout. I have not noticed a change. That's true, Celtic King. We've got to drown our sorrows because I've missed the opportunity to talk to VD on the phone. That's a lost opportunity right there. Oh, they get phone calls in jail, don't they? Except I don't give him my phone number. Jesus. What a nightmare that would be. Yeah, and I don't have the Angry phone anymore that I can just switch off. Maybe I should get the Angry phone back. AZ could visit him in prison. Visit him, maybe. He can be in his new house. Now, see, that's why I was asking Safa, layout of my new house. My new house is fucking awesome. I get little revenges on my old landlord. For anyone who doesn't know the story, the Aussie prisons have special rooms. What are we calling a special room, Bjorn? That's the second time that's very ambiguous. That could mean an awful lot of things. And I don't know which of the possible things you're referring to. Yeah, I do. For those who never heard the story, this is a new-ish house I'm in. I've been in here about 4 months. I lived in the previous house for 10 years, just over 10 years. And the reason we moved is because the landlord was an arsehole. He'd just sort of been an arsehole the whole time we were there. And then earlier this year, he decided to become a super duper arsehole. And he changed real estate agents, and he's obviously told them, you have to do an inspection and tell these people they're fucking awful and they have to fix all these things and pay for all these things, blah, 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 blah. And the estate agent did that. They came and did this inspection. And in 10 years, we'd had routine inspections. It was like, oh, and occasionally it was, fix that or do that or do that. No big deal. And then out of the blue, it's like this huge fucking laundry list of things really aggressively stated. And I responded to them, told them to back the fuck off. And Mrs. Angry wrote them a letter saying like, yeah, because they did this really long list of things and said, oh, you have to fix them in 2 weeks or you'll be in breach of your lease. And Mrs. Angry calmly wrote back and said, well, that's kind of bullshit. That's far too long a list, and 2 weeks is far too short a time. She said something like, 6 weeks or, we'll address these things. And they were like, okay. And I wrote one back and said, okay, everything she said about you being unreasonable. And on top of that, I'm not putting up with being treated like this. If this is some ridiculous policy, if this is the first step on some ridiculous plan to try and justify throwing us out, save yourself the trouble. Just say now and I'll leave, because I'm not going to be treated like this. What you're doing is completely unreasonable. And they were like, oh no, that's not what we're doing. No, 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 no. I thought I'd got them on the run. And then I fumed about it for a couple of days. And then I just said, no, actually what they did is completely unreasonable and completely inexcusable. And they're obviously only going to get worse. We should move out. So we gave notice, moved out. And then they tried to fuck us over. And this is like, okay, we'd been in the house over 10 years, and the way tenancy laws work here, things like carpet and paint and everything are deemed to have a life of 10 years. And yes, the place actually definitely needed to be recarpeted and repainted and all these things, but it was all fucking old when we moved in anyway. But we'd been there 10 years, so, you know, it definitely was, you know, under tenancy laws, not our fault, because it was all over 10 years old. Nevertheless, fuckhead landlord tried to claim all this stuff, and we had to go to court hearing, court in Victoria called VCAT. And I shit you not, he was actually demanding that we pay him $30,000 for renovations. It was like about $10,000 for the carpet, to recarpet the whole house, $10,000 to repaint the whole house, and then $10,000 in just other shit. And it was stressful as fuck waiting for this to get resolved. Like, you know, I was always sure that it'd get thrown out, and 95% of it did. But up until it did, it was really stressful and it was really fucked. And anyway, so yeah, all these claims got thrown out, and we moved, and he then spent months renovating this place, which was really fucking stupid, because if he had any economic sense at all, he would have just sold it, because it's just a single story house, but it's on a massive block of land. Like, if he sold the place, it would be to someone who was going to build a block of flats, and they'd build a big block of flats and they'd make a fortune. He would have made well over $1 million selling the place, probably 2 million selling the place. And they would have just knocked it down and built a big block of flats, and each, you know, like, yeah, you could probably, the block of land, if you did it a couple stories high, you could probably do, say, 1, 2, 3, you could probably do anywhere from a dozen to 20 2-3 bedroom flats, and each of those in the area where we lived would sell for $300,000-$400,000 at least. So in other words, someone's going to make a fucking fortune out of it. He would have made a couple $1 million on the sale, but no, I don't know, he's got some weird thing attachment to the place. And so he actually spent almost 3 months renovating, like, and he did have to do the renovations, like the repainting, the recarpeting, refining stuff. It would have cost him tens of thousands of dollars, but also because he did it relatively slowly, and so he's got no rent for over 3 months. And then when it finally went on the market, it was for, Jesus, it was like more than 50%. He'd raised the rent more than 50% above what we were paying. But you could probably get away with it. But then he didn't rent. We've been watching the listing, and the rent keeps getting dropped. They initially had this harsh condition like no pets allowed, and they dropped that. And then they've dropped the rent a couple $100 a month twice. I don't know if there's anyone in there yet. But so this fuckhead spent at least $20,000-$30,000 on renovations, and then he's lost at least 4 months rent. So that's another, why, how much is it around? There's like another $10,000+. So he fucked us over, but I reckon he's ended up somewhere around $40,000 or $50,000 out of pocket. And no, Celtic King, I have not seen this kind of a guy since then. I really don't want to. It's funny, we used to always joke, saying, I'm going to report this guy to the Jewish Anti-Defamation League for perpetuating the stereotype that Jewish people are tight-fisted and mean. Because, yes, he was Jewish, and he was a stereotype of a miser. He was awful. He was just an awful person. Yeah, I don't know that, yeah, like if I was driving past and he walked across the road, I don't know that I'd slow down. Evil, that wasn't Mrs. Angry. That was actually Mrs. Angry's son, my stepson. He's microwaving some chocolate. So he's got chocolate goo that he can eat while he's watching TV. So, yes. It's just quite a treat he does. It was a thing he wanted for his birthday, so he got this whole kit with different sorts of chocolate he can melt and some flavors that he can mix in. So it's this real sort of alchemist kit he has for making snacks. The joy of muting people on Twitter. Yes, Biori, I block. I know some people like mute because I guess you can back away from it a bit easier, but also the person doesn't know you muted them. You just don't see their shit, but they can see you. That's why I prefer block, because if I block them, they can't even see me unless they have another account, which a lot of them do. But yeah, I'm very big on fuck you, you're a piece of shit, block. Get one last line in and then block them. Oh, that was a good question. How long have I been with Mrs. Angry? 11.5 years. And very, very happy. Thank you for asking. Hoot, put it on mute. God, you just reminded me of a really funny animation I did voice work for. A local cartoonist animator called Dave Blumenstein. He had this thing he was going to do as a series they called The Precinct. It was a weird thing about cops, and he did this video that as a spoof training video for cops, telling them to not get involved with criminals, because there was a spate of cops here in Victoria having very ill-advised friendships and relationships with crims like bikies and other organised criminals. And it was, he reminded me of it by saying hoot, because there's this character on it as like, and the police have a mascot that's an owl that says hoot and tells you how to be safe. Oh God, Biore, I'm so with you. The fuckers who defend the Nazis or do the false equivalence of, oh no, the extremists on the left are just as bad. Hey Travis, how's it going? It's like, I really want to grab people and shake them when you go, you know who's just as bad as Nazis who worship Hitler and promote race hate and advocate for genocide? People who fight against it. They're the real Nazis. And it's like, fuck me, what is wrong with you? Oh wait, I know, you're a Nazi sympathizer. That's what's wrong with you. And it's just a travesty. And it feels like things have finally reached a tipping point in the US with Trump not only refusing to condemn the Nazis and white supremacists, but clearly opposite, offering support and endorsement of them. That's fair, Celtic King. I mean, you know, if someone says I'm a cunt, I'm a soft cunt. Depending on me, I'm a bit spongy. Didn't put on weight. If he means literally, am I soft and pillowy? Does he want to rest his head against my soft man boobs? That would be soft. He could do that. Does your friend actually fancy me? Is that what's going on? I mean, oh, you just remind me that, I mean, okay, so I get hate comments all the time because I basically, you know, when I do my political videos, I am baiting people really badly. So, you know, I don't think it's that terrible that people are angry at me when I do the really political stuff, because of course I'm trying to make the people I disagree with angry. I never pretend otherwise. But there are varying degrees of stupidity. Oh, there you go. 1 hour. No, it's not even 1 hour in. It's 40 hours in, and I've got the bad connection warning. So persevere. If it stutters now, the warning went away. So if it stutters, just persevere. If it's stalled on you, just like do a refresh, because I'm still here. And I know sometimes people say the video freezes and the audio is still going. That's why I'm saying it. If the whole thing's gone, there's obviously no point. But sometimes the video seems to go off and the comments keep going. Oh my God, the vajankle. Nicholas, do you remember the vajankle? That was awful. Celtic King, I'm big on hugs. He could get a hug. If he wants to feel my soft manliness close to him, that's a thing that could happen. Yes, Safa, I'm using dial-up. Oh my God, I am old enough that dial-up was a thing. And seriously, you know, the whole thing about, you know, an endless fucking fire hose of porn on the internet now. That was from day one of the internet. We're always trying to find porn. And we used to go on like news groups, things with, you know, and it was just images, because there's no way there was enough bandwidth for video. It was images, and clicking a single image, you could wait up until minutes for an image to refresh enough time to actually see. Oh my God, the early internet was so tragic. And the really even earlier stuff like bulletin boards and text chat, people would do ASCII art, like images, low-res image suggested by just using keyboard characters. And some ASCII art was incredibly complex. People put so much work into it. And of course, there was ASCII art porn, because that's what people do. As soon as there is a media, they do porn on that media. And God, there were probably guys rubbing one out to ASCII art porn back in the 90s. And if that doesn't tell you something about humans, I don't know what will. My God. Oh, Evil Hub. Yes. Oh, dude, you've got a good memory. That somebody did an ASCII art version, GIF animation of the entire original Star Wars film. And it's fucking amazing. And you can probably still find it somewhere online. But he actually did the entire fucking Star Wars. In fact, I think he did more than one of the movies. Maybe he did all of them. But did the entire original Star Wars movie in animated GIF ASCII art. Is fucking phenomenal work. Like, it was an amazing piece of artistry. Like, with really limited visual tools, he did a really faithful shot-by-shot reproduction of Star Wars. It was absolutely amazing. It was like, this is why I get bugged when someone does something online that obviously took a lot of time, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours. You know, someone who's a Wikipedia editor, someone who does animations, someone who does art, and someone obviously pouring hundreds, if not thousands of hours into something that they just push out onto the internet. And you get fuckwits who go, why don't they get a life? Don't they have a life? How can they spend 1,000 hours doing that? Like, that's a life, man. That's creation. That's a life. Like, without the internet, like when I was a kid, I wasted my whole fucking life watching shitty TV because there was nothing else to do. And it was just like, to have something like a creative outlet like the internet where you can interact with the world is fucking incredible. And the people who say, oh, they're wasting hours, and of course I'm being mildly defensive here because I've put thousands of videos on YouTube. Oh God, I did a little sum once. Like I worked out, okay, the average length of my videos is about this much. And I think there's a website where it'll actually calculate, how many minutes or hours are on your YouTube channel. But anyways, I kind of worked out, okay, of all the videos, just on my main YouTube channel, if you started at the start and tried to watch them all, like non-stop, without sleeping, it would take weeks, if not months, to get through them all. Which is pretty fucking bizarre, quite honestly. But, you know, I'm having fun. That's what I'm doing. And that's why I do the live streams now. Because these live streams are a huge amount of fun. I like interacting. Travis, you never pay for porn. But you do if you respect your porn artists. If you respect your porn artists, you either buy something from them or, you know, all the porn artists have like wish lists and or ways that you can gift them. If you respect your favorite porn stars, porn creators, you find a way to give back. What is Two Tongs Habit up to right now? He is up to being a complete fuckwit. I like that pun, evil hub. Porn artists like to make their money hand over fist. Like that pun. Yeah, but what's Two Tongs Habit doing? He's being a complete fuckhead. Pushing this thing with the marriage equality postal vote, saying like, oh, if you're against political correctness, vote against marriage equality. And it's just like, he's so desperate for relevance. He's such a loser. And hey there, Toby, how you doing? Actually, now I've got a head of steam up and talking about politicians who are dipshits and waste of time. Right at the start, someone asked me about views on Hanson being a complete fucking garbage fire. That's Pauline Hanson, head of Australia's most prominent racist group, One Nation. Yes, she, in her just eminent witness, showed up to the Senate today wearing a burqa. Actually, I always get the proper terms confused for the different things, the hijab and the niqab and the burqa. And she's so bad. George Brandis looked like the good guy. George Brandis made this speech about why she's garbage and why she's hateful garbage and why her spreading hate about Muslims endangers Australia. And, you know, when you make George Brandis the good guy, you're really, really, really bad. And George Brandis got a standing ovation, as you say, Greg, from Labor and the Greens. People who normally oppose him tooth and nail, when he stood up and made this really focused speech saying why Hanson was garbage and why she was hurting Australia. They just stood up and gave him a standing ovation, because it's like, you know, he may be our enemy, we may actually think he's a dick, but when the man stands up and does the right thing, you got to back him. I'm sure he'll do something really shitty within a couple of days. So, but yeah, Brandis took her apart. Brandis absolutely took her apart. Just that, you know, she's hateful and divisive, and she's hurting Australia, and she's endangering Australia by spreading hateful rhetoric. And you know, like, Brandis is a colossal dick, but you know, he was right on the money. Oh, Heine, is worth watching. It's only 2 minutes. The Brandis speech is only 2 minutes. It's worth seeing him get really emotionally involved. And I think Brandis is a complete dick, and he's been responsible for some real shit in the government. But I believe when he made that speech denouncing Hanson, he was completely sincere. Because, you often think, oh, the politicians, they don't mean that. But I believe Brandis was completely sincere. And he was very restrained, but he really took Hansen down. Just like, you know, this ridiculous, hateful bullshit has no place in Australia, and you should be ashamed of yourself. That was a really masterful piece of work. Nicholas get Hazy to make songs about political fuck-ups. You probably remember the videos when he decides he has to sing and he just starts singing about stuff. You can't stop him. Pura, you're right, he didn't need 36 hours to do it. Oh, but I mean, you know, Trump clearly didn't. You saw that thing. Trump was reading off a teleprompter. Like, the people have grabbed him. They've spent more than a day saying to him, for fuck's sake, just denounce the Nazis. This is the easiest thing ever. Just say Nazis are bad. Just say it. Look, we'll write it for you. Just read from the teleprompter. And it was obvious that Trump didn't believe the things he was saying. And he went off script straight away. He straight away went, on all sides. You know, it's not just the Nazis who are bad. It's people who don't like Nazis bad. And then less than 24 hours, he basically walked that back completely and endorsed the Nazis all over again. It's like, and that's not because Trump's stupid. It's not because, but it's because Trump is literally a white supremacist. You look through his history, Trump clearly is literally a white supremacist. He believes white people are better than non-white people. He believes non-white people are inherently inferior and bad. That is obvious. And he can't even lie. That is so ingrained in him. It's so ingrained in him from his racist Klansman dad that he can't even lie. He can't even bring himself to lie and say, oh, no, yeah, you're right, Evil Hub. He's got David Duke, the former Klan leader, saying, yay, thanks, Mr. President, for telling us we're right. And sometimes when people do shit like that, they're talking crap. It's like, no, he didn't do that. But David Duke is 100% right. Trump told the white supremacists and neo-Nazis he supports them. He explicitly told them he supports them. Okay, Toby, that's a bit extreme. Just saying. There is a political solution available for Trump. In the short to medium term, that lies completely with Republicans. And they've all been shit-talking Trump without saying his name since he did that. Because basically, anytime a Republican makes a public statement, either to the media or on Twitter or whatever, whenever a Republican makes an unequivocal comment that Nazis, racists, and white supremacists are wrong and bad, they are shit-talking Trump when they say that. They haven't come out and said his name and said he's reprehensible, but they are shit-talking him. And I think they're trying to bait him into doing something worse, basically. But the Democrats have no power to remove Trump. The only people with the power to remove Trump are Republicans. Up until the midterm elections. And hey, American public, at that point, you have the power to do something about Trump. Because if the Republicans haven't done anything about him, this doesn't happen until 2018. But if the Republicans haven't done anything about him, if you vote in sufficient numbers to turf out Republicans and get Democrats in, and Democrats have the power, then the Democrats can move impeachment. But that's not till 2018. In the meantime, it's the Republicans. And yes, the ever popular question, Chris, would Pence be worse than Trump? To the establishment, Pence is heaps better than Trump, because Pence is part of the establishment. Pence is an establishment conservative Christian Republican. Now, policy-wise, I think Pence is as bad or worse than Trump, but he's a politician and he will behave within certain parameters. He's not going to try and start a war with North Korea. He's just going to go to internal war in America with, the gays and anyone who's not them. That's actually not a bad analogy, Chris. Pence is very much like Abbott. Oh God, yes, Evil Hub. If you post it here, I see. But if you send me something on Twitter, you're relating Trump to a famous movie monster. I'm intrigued. I will see it if you do that, but later, not right now. Yeah. So yeah, that's the big question. Would Pence be worse than Trump? Well, Pence is within certain boundaries. Like his policies, I think would be as bad as Trump, but the weird extraneous behavior, Pence is never going to openly encourage Nazis and white supremacists. Pence is never going to say stupid, reckless things that will start a war. Pence might be that much of an evangelical. He'd be preaching fucking holy war against Islam. I don't know. But I think the stuff with North Korea would calm down with Pence. You'd love to see my reaction live. Oh dear. You're right, RC. Pence would just dog whistle to the rapists, rapists too. Yeah, I think Pence is a friend to Catholic priests. But yeah, I mean, Pence is someone who literally thinks you can torture gay teenagers into not being gay. And Pence is anti-science. Celtic King, if you downloaded all my videos, put them on disc and sent them to me as an act of worship, would I accept it? I accept all acts of worship, Safi saying there's more clan rallies in the weekend. Probably. Who's that twat from Sydney? Money grabbing whore. George Brandis is his name. He hasn't got a brain. Won't be senator. I don't know, Nicholas. Has Brandis got stuff going against him at the moment? It's so hard to keep pace with who's in trouble. This whole thing with the dual citizenship is just so weird. And yeah, Australian politics has just gotten weird. Oh, rally spread to Canada. Apparently people in Sydney are planning a straight pride march. And everyone's going, oh, so okay, fucking do it. Do it. I reckon it'd be hilarious. What's a straight pride march going to be? How insecure do you have to be to have a straight pride march when, no one's stopping you from being straight? Do I like rum? I don't drink rum a lot. In my whole making concoctions, because you can get white rum, of course. I have made concoctions with white rum before, because then it gets the colours of the nice things. I did it with the chili lollies, I think, like spiced rum, and I did some, Australians will know the lollies called Redskins. Made red rum. That was a joke about The Shining, red rum murder. So I don't drink a lot of rum. I tend to do mixed drinks. So I've had cocktails with rums and stuff. I don't drink many spirits straight, not often anyway. There was a little misadventure a couple of years ago where someone else was paying, and so I ended up drinking all these top shelf single malt whiskies, and I got pretty fucking shit for it. That was the last time I threw up, actually. Evil Hub saying, what would be the straight pride rally? We're not gay, yay. Maybe, ironically, that sounds super gay. You should imagine people marching down the street saying, we're not gay, yay. I'd be looking at them going, I'm not completely sure I believe you. But you'll hear us if we're going to ignore the straight pride march. Well, that's the thing. People are saying like they're going to get up in arms about protests. I would ignore it. If people are going to have a gay, straight pride march, let them. What's the harm? I think they're just embarrassing themselves. Just let them embarrass themselves. It's that simple, I think. Evil Hub, the name of a famous racehorse from the 70s that disappeared. Oh, you got to go Celtic Pie. Thank you so much for the update. VD's got 18 months on the inside. Wow. Wow, that is just so weird. Things that I wouldn't have predicted happening. Someone writing me really long, crazy letters and ending up in jail. Oh yeah, Evil Hub, you're absolutely right. Give him enough rope and they'll hang themselves. I think a straight pride march is really stupid, and just let them do it because they'll look stupid. There's a annual festival here in Melbourne called Moomba, and it's kind of dull, really, and boring. Celtic King, look, honestly, I know we're joking about him getting bashed or murdered or raped in jail. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. If you get the opportunity to get a message to him from me, the message would be calm the fuck down. Oh, Chris, that's it. I should have done a Wangafat on straight pride. I didn't do, well, there's two reasons I didn't do a Wangafat Wednesday video. One is I'm doing this extra training thing for work on Wednesday nights. So I have this bloody seminar for 2 hours after work on Wednesday night. So it was a bit later by the time I got home. And second, I wasn't that inspired. Yes, please let him know, Celtic King. I just want him to calm the fuck down if he's in jail. I don't want anything bad to happen to him, okay? And this is not any sense of Christian good being. I just don't want, because bad in jail is fucking bad, okay? And if he acts like an asshole, people aren't going to put up with it. And he already knows this. You say he's done these other stints. He knows what happens if you act like a fuckwit in jail. They punish you. But yes, Wangafat. I didn't do a Wangafat because I was doing a training, like workshop seminar for a couple of hours, so I was home quite late. And I also wasn't inspired. But yes, I think straight pride is the definition of what I'm not giving a fuck about. It's like, dude, okay, do it. You want to do straight pride? I think you're going to embarrass yourself. I think you're going to look stupid. Just do it. Because I don't think you're going to win any fans with a straight pride march. I think there might be some humour value in it, quite honestly. A straight pride march is like... it's just the missing point. Like, I tried to have a discourse on Twitter today, actually, with a US senator. It's just this weird thing. A friend of mine retweeted this conservative senator saying this, Toby, my beard is very strokeable. Quite honestly, this is the longest it's been in a while. It's a little bit coarse because it's a beard, but it is very strokeable. I'm very technical. Yeah, it is. I think maybe I need some beard oil. Maybe that's I can get it to go straight, so to stop curling. Every time I go to make a video, I go, it's skew if, and I do this. I'm looking in the viewfinder doing this. I go, I think that's okay, and then I go to the edit the video, and a fucking beard's over here, and I go, what's that about? You're right, Evil Hub. Beard maintenance serious. I'm no good at it. What's Corey Bernardi doing? Corey Bernardi's doing nothing useful. I did see he commented on Pauline Hanson wearing the burqas, saying like he didn't support it as such because he thinks it's demeaning the dignity of the Senate. But he's saying like, oh, anyone who says she shouldn't have worn it's disrespectful, they're hypocrites because the left, they say you can wear whatever you want. And it's like, I don't think she was disrespectful as such. I just think she's stupid as fuck. I just think she's so fucking stupid. And Bernardi saying, oh, you wear whatever you want. Yeah, like Bernardi, you'd be totally cool if someone dressed up like the Pope and you know, I don't know, had stockings and suspenders underneath and kept flashing it. You'd be completely okay if, you know, to mark, say, Archbishop George Pell going to trial for child sex offence. Yes, that's what he's going on trial for child sex offences. And if they dressed up as the Pope or an Archbishop and flounced around going, "Ooh, I'm in court," and they rocked up to Senate like that, you'd lose your shit, you tiny-minded little fuckwit. Ugh. God, he's abominable. And he, man, oh God, he just seems so self-hating. Evil Hub, how do I know priests don't have stockings and suspenders under there? I assume they do. I assume they do. It's yeah, but the whole Hanson burqa thing, God, she's just reprehensible. She's fucking garbage and she's stupid. She is so stupid. And she appeals to such stupid people. It's just appalling to watch. But, you know, what are you going to do? You know, there are laws against us euthanizing stupid people just because they're stupid. Bye, Toby. Thanks for dropping by, buddy. That's right, Evil Hub. There was a Monty Python sketch about judges being really camp and having stockings and suspenders under their abs. There's an old South Park episode that had the Klan in it, and there's a Klan rally, and after they do their business, they say, "And now it's time for our regular competition. Who's got the silliest thing under their robes?" And the guys in Klan robes march up to this music and then just go, "Woo!" and show what they've got under the robes. That was good. South Park, I haven't watched South Park much for years. And I often thought it was really funny. And I watched a couple of episodes of a recent series. I think not the most recent, like maybe 2 years. Oh no, I think it was only last year's, because it's about, they're basically parodying the Trump election campaign. So, you know, the character PC Principal and whatnot. And you know, yeah, I can, you know, they're going so over the top with their attacks on PC culture. They're at the same time saying they don't like PC culture, but also saying some people who argue against PC culture are fucking idiots and are paranoid and are saying really stupid things. But I think the South Park guys underestimate how stupid a lot of their audience is, or they're willfully blocking the view of how stupid a lot of their audience is, because it's not uncommon. I've had idiots on the internet quoting lines from South Park as if that's some deep political understanding. It's like, no, dude, South Park's like schoolyard humor, like dick and poo jokes, and attacking political subjects with all the sophistication of a 13-year-old on ADD medication. And for you as an adult human to think that's a political stance to take marks you as a fuckwit. And I feel like the South Park guys underestimate the stupidity of their audience, because we see them in interviews, they're going, no, we're not saying that, we're mocking that, and we're mocking that, and we're not presenting that as a coherent political view. The world is full of fucking idiots, usually almost universally young white men, who take some of the shit from South Park literally and think it's an intelligent political analysis to just repeat stuff from a South Park episode. And that's just sad. And the people who do that are really fucking stupid. But, you know, what are you going to do? Well, it's full of stupid people. Can't get rid of them. There are laws. I've looked into it. You know, if I went to court saying, no, I killed them all because they were stupid, I didn't have a choice, you know, that actually wouldn't work as a defense. That would work against me. So, you know, it's like, okay, whatever. I guess the stupid people get to keep on living, and that's the way it should be. Oh well, there's not much we can do about stupid people. We've just got to try and soldier on and not let their existence get us down too much. Look, thank you everyone for joining us. I know this isn't as long as some of the live streams, but I'm gonna sign off for now because I got to do a couple things before retiring for the evening. So thank you all for dropping by. It's been fun as usual. Evil Harbour, I am going to check out what you tweeted me. I get to do that before bedtime now. And thank you all for joining me. Enjoyed it as always. I will see. Tomorrow's actually Friday, so we'll see if I will do a pre-recorded video sometime, either tomorrow or on the weekend. Oh, sorry you missed Grace. I'm running away now, but I'll be back, both with pre-recorded and a live stream. Who knows what the weekend will bring? There might be surprises. We will see what happens. But thank you very much for dropping by, and thank you for all your support. And I will be back again soon. Bye now.